And we're back.
Welcome to GenAI. We are live from the expo floor at reInvent 2024. We just had an amazing keynote from our CEO, Garmin, with a special guest. Sorry, Matt Garman,
Yes.
with a special guest, Andy Jassy. It was so great to see Andy on stage again.
Yes.
And now we're going to do a little Q&A with our VP of AI and Engineering, Nirmal. And I'm here with my co-host, Brian.
Yes, I'm a senior solution architect and been with AWS for a little over 6 years and focusing on partners that deal with generative AI solutions. So.
Oh, fantastic. So let's get the ball rolling.
Yes.
So, Nirmal, you just got through the keynote.
Yep.
Was there anything about the keynote that you particularly enjoyed?
I had a lot about data and AI, which was expected, but that's what I live for, so this is good.
Anything in particular?
No, I think just the overall maturing of capabilities, right? The governance side of AI on the data side, bringing in more, talking about MLOps and FMOps, testing
Yes.
evaluation capabilities into the platform. That is very crucial. Being able to expand and run more models on the platform, optimize those models. So those are all great features to have.
So let's dig into, well, how are you thinking about MLOps or FMOps within your organization, and how are your customers thinking about it?
Absolutely. So I think the first part is being able to differentiate those. There's a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
MLOps has been around for a long time. When you're building your own model, that's really when MLOps comes into play. You go through the various lifecycle stages, development, training, and then you're doing some evaluation and fine-tuning, and then getting those models deployed. FMOps, if you're building your own foundational model, it's exactly the same things. But there's additional capabilities that come into play. You're not just building your own models. Now you have aspects of, there's a model provider that does that heavy lifting, and then you tend to do more of the fine-tuning. So which is you're skipping steps 1 and 2 in MLOps. You're starting at step 3.
Got it.
And then you still have to deploy those models. So that's kind of where things start to expand and where more people are focused on. And then if you bring LLMOps, which is a subset, then it's a completely different view where you're focused more on the application side of operations as opposed to the true ML side of operations.
So do you find a lot of folks are favoring FMOps now because you're skipping some steps?
Yes, because it's making it easier for more companies to adopt AI and ML because now they don't have to build a model from scratch.
Right.
Oh, well.
So mature organizations have done that in the past. Now this gives the opportunity for more companies to start to adopt AI within the organization.
What are some of the most interesting models that you've seen people build for themselves, or like what are some of the solutions that you see customers experimenting with?
Absolutely. On the traditional model side, you've got all forms of predictive models, classification models, and just a whole series of things. But where the interesting innovation is happening is, how do I build new foundation models that can potentially transform my business? And we like the very early stages of those. Last 2 years, we've seen a lot of, I've got my LLM model and other foundational models. I'm starting to apply them, but now people are realizing there's more to it than just, say, text translation, text generation, image generation. It's how do I apply that in the business context? And I think the key aspect is a lot of companies out there, the whole business could be based on the foundation of a foundational model.
The whole business?
Yes, there's opportunities there. I'll give you an example. So a company that is, you can think of them as like the Google for experimental research. So meaning when I'm looking for patents, so patent research, I'm doing research on sort of new molecules and things like that. And a lot of that information today gets encoded by people. Right, you've got PhDs that are providing that information. So people that are using their service are getting the benefit of those, say, 50, 100 odd PhDs. Now, if I can build a model that encodes that knowledge, then that forms the core of my business. And I can start to expand on that model and continue to grow and improve that much more quickly than I can grow my PhDs.
Wow. Super interesting.
That is, I didn't even, that is a fascinating idea. I mean, because one of the biggest challenges with medical research in general is you only publish success.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that holds us back because you can't, it's hard to celebrate failure when it's publish or die.
Yeah.
But this allows you to fail faster and less expensively.
Yes.
And the failure scenarios, that is truly valid, and which is where when we talk about operations evaluation, being able to ensure that you're generating the correct outputs becomes much more critical.
Yeah. And as we move into the future, when we were talking about GenAIOps, right? Back in the day, I will say back in the day, like 3 years ago, there was this push to have these like roles of DevOps and applications developers work together on these things.
Yep.
So as we move into this whole pattern of GenAIOps, what do those roles look like in the future? What do DevOps and application developers roles look like? And then who else are the key players and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so that landscape is changing pretty rapidly.
Wow.
Every application is going to have some form of AI capability, if not already, in the next year or two. So what that means is I've got my traditional software engineers and developers. You've got your SRE DevOps folks. So those roles don't necessarily change. There's additional capabilities that get added to them. So an SRE is now also responsible not just for like application deployment, but also the performance of inferencing. So inferencing becomes another pillar. I think Matt mentioned about that.
Wow.
So that is a key consideration when we consider co-platform.
Right.
For the application developer, you're not building deterministic software now.
Yes.
You're getting into undeterministic, right? Because with the models, it's not 100% predictable. So what are the additional checks and balances I do have to introduce into the platform? And then this also introduces new testing options. So I really can't test for a single truth value now.
Right.
I've got to test for a range of possibilities. So incorporating evaluation frameworks as part of your application becomes key. So it's not just something that an ML engineer or an AI engineer does.
Yeah.
Every application developer's got to do that now, and QA.
You're touching on something that's very near and dear to my heart as well, is the evolution of roles within technology. Like in the past year has been staggering. And I love that you use the word non-deterministic because like the database people have arrived to GenAI. They just got to the party. And I can't tell you how many times they were like, what do you mean it's non-deterministic? Like, well, no. It's like having a buddy that has suggestions, but your buddy's not always right.
Yeah, exactly.
They really don't like that.
No, it's going to be hard for a lot of people to kind of fathom it. But at the same time, you've got to be cautious, right? We just can't release non-deterministic code out there for everybody to consume. Then you're going to have a whole lot of problems.
Yeah.
So, have you found this to be true within Rackspace, or how is Rackspace evolving in light of all of these changes?
So, two parts. One, what we're doing within the business, like as a corporation. So, we are incorporating AI into a bunch of our internal services. And part of that, everything we talked about, right? How we're organizing team structures to go build these newer applications, even update existing ones that incorporates AI. So incorporating new roles. So I have what we call an AI steward that takes care of the engineering work, the model building, model fine-tuning aspects. Then I've got a quality steward that focuses more not just on application quality, but also the responsive use of AI and also the responsible generation of the requests, so evaluating the outputs of these models.
Yeah.
So those things start to change. And then we take those same concepts, we apply that for customers as well, because, I mean, if I look at myself as a customer, these are the things I need to do to be successful. Our customers need to do the same things.
I love the word steward because, you know, at Amazon, we've got bar raisers. We've got a bar raiser for a lot of different things, not only hiring, but API bar raisers. Yeah. And it does feel like that human in the loop part of governance is where I see a lot of customers and organizations incorporating. But I like the word steward a little bit more than bar raising.
Right, yes.
Because it's like a cultivator or a curator.
Exactly.
Or I don't know.
But it's the governance aspect as well, right? Because now it's not just about building software and building tools. It's also how do you do that responsibly, which is where the steward sort of infuses that governance aspect into everything that you do.
Wow.
So it's not, governance shouldn't be a separate after the fact or before the fact, right? It should be incorporated
Right.
day in, day out.
And I think governance is also getting blurrier because 3 years ago, like customers would have their own governance model, and then they would shoehorn our shared security model into their governance model. But now some aspects of governance are a part of managed services, and it gets blurry.
It does.
Like it gets blurry, especially at the speed of innovation. Look, we make a big deal at reInvent. It was like, woo, we're launching a bunch of stuff, but we're launching stuff every week now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you keep your own team like integrated with the latest and greatest, and then incorporating the decision of buy or build or what to do next?
Absolutely. So, I mean, one thing, we work closely with AWS. We work with the partner teams. We work with the product teams. For example, some of the new models that came out, we were their early beta testers. So we were evaluating those newer models, newer solutions, and how that could be applied for customers, providing critical feedback to the AWS product teams. That's step one. Then we start to take that and look at where our customers today, who can we take those innovations to? And then we have conversations with those customers and then sort of apply those. The build versus buy decision, that's always a moving target. If you ask me, like last year, I'd say most of it is going to be build because the buy was not quite there. Whatever you could buy was maybe 50% there. You look at this year, I'm leaning more buy, at least for some of the basic scenarios.
Right.
I don't need to go build a model or a solution to help my developers generate code, right? That's just out of the box. A year and a half back, everybody was building their own generative AI tool or solution. You don't need that. I can just take Amazon Q, connect it to all my data sources. A year back, I couldn't apply or run automation with Q. Now I can run automation. So what we were building a year back, and now I'm going to say, go buy, right? You don't have to build. And then where build comes is build shifts further, right? So now you start to apply build to more innovative ideas, more the business transformative scenarios.
More personalization.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not only for the business, but for people.
For people as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So on that note, we have someone who asked a question. So let's try to pull it up on the screen. All right. So someone asked, as someone who is at a career change, cloud engineer, architect seems very an attractive space. How can I learn for 6 months from now? So basically, they want to know what should they be learning now in order to become that cloud architect or that DevOps role that we talked about earlier.
Absolutely. So I'd start with your cloud foundations. So that's going to be critical. So what you need for a cloud architect today, learn those things.
Yes.
A lot of those things are not going away.
Yeah.
So all your best practices, if we take just the WAR principles, resiliency, and how do you best architect cloud solutions. So those are important. But now in addition to that, you have to also consider how does AI impact the solutions? How can I go build autonomous solutions as opposed to some more managed solutions? So that's where things are moving. And again, this is where I go with the fact that you don't just need ML developers or AI engineers anymore. Everybody, every form of developer, QA, every form of technical role, and non-technical roles as well, need to be able to understand AI, apply that within their practice. And again, the application is going to be different. So for a cloud architect, it's more considerations on how do I apply the true AIOps, right? The original AIOps, where it's more about detecting anomalies in infrastructure and services.
Yeah.
So that's critical now. You're going to go to apply that. You have to apply AI in security. As a cloud architect, you need to understand how AI is impacting security, both from an offensive and defensive purpose, because AI is also providing more, enabling more capabilities to do more harm on the security front. So you need to be aware of those aspects.
Yeah. And I found one key thing that, it helps me when I try to decide, what should I be doing? And I think the key thing that I focus on is being okay with change, being okay with learning new things and not sticking to my thought, this is always right. I think because everything is changing, there's always going to be change. And if you're okay with that and okay with learning, I think you're going to be fine, in my opinion.
I think so. I mean, again, going back 3 years,
Yeah.
you are okay if you're adapting in, say, a year, 2 years time frame.
Yes.
Now you've got to adapt in like 2 months, 3 months.
Exactly. You have to be okay.
That's what it's become.
Yeah.
When I think about like folks that are like studying computer science in college now, a lot of my colleagues, their kids come home from college and say, so I'm not going to do that anymore. I mean, so computer, because coding is dead.
Yeah.
And as a technologist, I'm like, I don't know, it's time yet. I don't know if we're there yet.
Not quite there yet. But that's one of my favorite topics. I've got a 10-year-old, and what I'm coaching him, again, he's got more time before he gets to college. But what I'm having him focus, and this is what I advise folks that are in college as well, is don't worry about the programming languages.
Yeah.
Yes.
Understand, again, 101, computer fundamentals, understand that. Because only once you understand that, can you apply that in practice.
Yes.
Programming, it's a language after all, and through automation, code generation, that's going to be simplified for you. But it's not going to solve it 100%, right? It'll get you like 80%.
Yes.
So critical thinking, analytical skills, leadership, that is what is important. That is what is going to get you ahead of the pack. Because everybody is going to be able to generate the same quality of code with a model. So what differentiates you?
And creativity and grit.
Creative, yes.
Yes.
Because I mean, if you're able to go from intent of whatever you want to create, not even from a development side, but you just want to imagine this thing in the world, then we have democratized that so much that I think we're going to see even a shift in education to focus more on creativity because all of the tools are taken care of. So really, what was the intent to begin with? And then when it doesn't work, keep trying.
Agreed. And earlier, you needed people that can program. You don't need that.
Right.
So with that block remote, you can really think about programming becoming more commoditized.
Yeah.
And everybody being able to go build things for themselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I'm old. I remember when everybody was building an app for iPhone. Do you remember that? Like everybody was I built my own app over the weekend. I think that's what's going to, I mean, like, it's going to happen again, except it's not going to be apps.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be a builder.
It is.
Yes. Yeah. Just a build in a new sense.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
A build in the old sense meant you knew programming.
Laying bricks.
And yes, laying bricks. Now it's less of laying bricks and just imagine something to fruition.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but my kids are super into Minecraft. And they've always been into Minecraft. And even automating Minecraft now is... No, seriously, it's fascinating because...
That's big business now.
I know, because, I mean, like, Minecraft used to be... it was a lot like virtual Legos. And now, like, they program, they imagine, and everything is faster. They trade houses. I mean, like, it's this, like, Second Life situation where it used to be laying bricks.
Yeah.
All right, so we are just about at time. I just want to thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. This has been a wonderful conversation, so thank you.
Absolutely. Your perspective on ops of the future is inspiring, and I really appreciate your perspective on differentiating the build versus buy discussion. I think that's super useful.
Yeah.
So we're going to have Gable from Compass up next. So thank you very much for joining us. We're going to scoop us up and be right back as soon as we switch out folks.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thanks, Rory. Thanks, Brian.
All right.
Thank you.
Good to have you guys. Thank you.